biggest mistake I see content marketers making is they're just not experimenting enough.
For a long time, content marketers knew what success looked like. Write great content, rank in search, drive traffic, generate leads. It wasn't easy, but it was clear. That is no longer true.
That whole model has exploded. So now there's questions of like, am I a content engineer? Am I a storyteller? Am I helping out with product marketing?
Alex Hilleary is seeing this shift play out in real time. As CEO of Superpath, a community of more than 18,000 content marketers, he's watching thousands of people wrestle with the same questions. What skills matter now? And what does it mean to be a content marketer anymore?
There's just like a lot of questions about what this role actually looks like in the future.
In this episode, we explore how the role of content marketer is evolving, why more marketers are becoming generalists, and what it takes to thrive in a profession that's changing in real time. Alex, so good to meet you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Great to be here. Always excited to talk about content marketing.
Amazing. We're going to be talking about content marketing, what's changing, it's fracturing, all this different types of stuff. So you've been in content marketing for a while, but you recently acquired Superpath, a community of about 18,000 content marketers. What is it about this moment that made you want to bet on this?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I have a little bit of a wacky story here in that I began my career in content marketing. So I'll date myself a little bit. So back in the kind of mid 2010s, 2014, 2016 era. So you can think like kind of peak content marketing, blog post era. That's where I got my start. Since then, I've done a couple other things. I've sat on marketing teams, basically doing all forms of marketing across startups, and then actually co-founded a company in my past as well. And then, just stepped in here to Superpath to take over the operation. Our founder, Jimmy Daly, was stepping back into an in-house role. He had started the Superpath content marketing community 6 years. I think we just celebrated our birthday a few days ago, our 6-year birthday.
Congrats.
Thank you. I always say I'm a little bit like an adopted parent. It's like a very weird energy where you're like, I'm not the founder. Like I am now the majority owner of Superpath, but like I'm not the founder, and I'm kind of stepping in here, and I'm like this is Jimmy's baby, and all the people here know him so well, and I'm like, over time I will establish myself and get my rhythm down. The reason I'm really bullish on community businesses, and that's ultimately what I wanted to do. I had some experience most recently in the HR tech world and building communities for people operation folks, but I was just really eager to get back to marketing because things are changing so quickly. And I think particularly in content marketing, it's just such an interesting time where, I want to be careful with this because it's not that content marketing was not changing over the past 10 to 15 years, but I'd say it was like pretty incremental change. And then obviously AI comes in, shocks the whole space. And that's where I think, communities like Superpath are particularly valuable right now, where it's like, there is no template. It's not like, hey, go out here and, follow this content marketing template and you'll be successful at your new company. It's, hey, everything's changing real time. We're all learning together. And I think that's the power of a space like ours. And why I wanted to go back to my roots in content marketing and help build spaces for folks right now who are navigating that very murky future.
Yeah, so you really saw this as, okay, there is accelerating uncertainty. And in a moment of accelerating uncertainty, people are going to want community.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it also, out there in LinkedIn world and social world, people are not trusting those spaces as much. Like maybe in the past, they've been public spaces. Hey, we're learning in public and learning from each other. And now it's just become so, everything's got a CTA at the bottom of your LinkedIn post. Now there's AI slop going on to LinkedIn. So I think even these private spaces where, we have a AI show and tell every month where 3 members jump on and they're like, here's my half-baked thing I built for my content workflow. Like I'm showcasing it to you. I'm too embarrassed to put it online, but like we're all learning so much from it, seeing the different tools people are using. I think that's kind of the power in a space like ours right now.
You have an insight there that's really interesting because as a marketer and as someone running a business, like we ask like, okay, what should we be doing with our content? Like everything's changing. Yeah. And, a playbook that worked for a very long time, it evolved and changed, but was generally you write content, you make videos, you put them on your website, they get indexed, people find them. They have a good feeling when they read the thing or watch the thing. that good feeling translates into them spending a little bit more of their time on the rest of your website and like maybe signing up for your product. And that worked great. And now it's like, it's going upside down like real quick, but it doesn't mean that there shouldn't be content. And if anything, it seems like maybe we need more content in the right places. And I think that's like something I've been thinking about a lot. And then within these communities is really interesting because it's almost like the value is in keeping it closed, right? Like if you open this up too much, if you make it too big, that seems like that's when it won't work because it'll just feel like LinkedIn again eventually, right? Like if it's
Right.
like too many people, too much interaction, like will someone feel comfortable sharing the in progress thing?
Yeah, that's something I think about a lot. I mean, I kind of came into this whole process just from community design standpoint, seeing a lot of communities that like used to be really good when they were small, and then like you have these kind of perverse incentives as a community builder, whether you're building it under some kind of brand that you're ultimately it's a brand play, which is what I did with my last community in the people operations world, or whether you're kind of an independent builder like Superpath is, where we charge for memberships. Like you're trying to increase the number of people in the community, and there is kind of this. You have to be really careful about it, and because you get to this point where there's thousands of people in, and you're just it's the same thing all over again. So actually what's interesting, I know at the beginning we kind of talked about there's Superpath whole audience is 18,000 folks. This predates me, but Jimmy's been like very public about this process, but it used to be a Slack community that was free of 18,000 folks, and it just got to be too much to manage. So it went through this iteration of like 18,000 people to like, okay, we're going to create a sub community that's paid for people that want to opt into these channels. And that created a smaller space. And then ultimately, about 2 years ago, wound down the free community entirely on Slack and said, hey, this is
Mm-hmm.
going to be our audience. We're going to have our newsletter and our podcast, and you're still going to be a part of like the greater Superpath community, but the Slack is just going to be for folks that are paying. So we kind of have this, it now looks like a more traditional model of like big audience and then small productized community product that we can focus on people individually and have some of these conversations. And then conversations can trickle down into some of the content and media that we put out for our broader audience.
What do you think someone in my shoes should do? So I have Wistia, we make tons of content, but like, should Wistia make its own closed community? Should we make our own open community? Should we try to interact with the existing communities that are out there? Like, what should I do?
Yeah. I've thought a lot about this. Like in my last role, so I kind of had a thesis around like community as a top of funnel brand play. And I got to build a role around that, which was really cool because I think when you look at a lot of the communities that form under a brand, it's very customer support centric. Like a lot of the communities you think about are like, hey, here's a dev tool. We create a Discord. Like we have communities to support people using the product. And I kind of wanted to turn that around and say, what would it look like to just be a media product that is kind of independent? So the startup I worked for at the time it's called ChartHop. And so I wanted people to sign up that were not ChartHop users that might not have ever heard about us, but kind of be an industry newsletter, industry spaces that's like, instead of going out and selling sponsorships to partners, like ChartHop is the sole sponsor, but we're not talking about ChartHop every day. And so I still really believe in that model a lot. I got to see that out to a decent degree there before I got pulled into some other marketing things to help out with it at ChartHop, and I was not 100% focused on community, but I still am a big fan, and you're seeing more of this now. Is like a lot of it comes in the form of acquisitions. Like you see these bigger brands buying these
Yeah.
media companies, and they're trying to do the same thing there, right? Like I love the idea of this like independent media brand that you become kind of the sole sponsor of, and you find the like synergies between that brand and the product and kind of match the user profiles
Yeah,
there.
that's interesting. So you think it's possible for someone like me running Wistia, like I could go do it, I could make the community, but it has to be far enough away from the brand that like people don't just see it as a Wistia community, but like we're the title sponsor. That's kind of how
Yeah.
you think about it. Yeah.
What I mean, where I saw success, what I got really excited about was this kind of bring somebody in that's never heard of your brand. If you tie the community to the brand, there's so many communities out, like you're not going to sign up for a branded community of a brand you don't know about. So it's very cool to see somebody that came in, had no idea who we were at the very beginning, and 2 years in, they've become a customer from this like,
Yeah.
hey, I came in at this very top of funnel, then I like saw your ads over and over, and maybe I signed up for a webinar of yours. We had these like conversion points between the funnel of the community and the funnel of
Got
the
it.
brand. And it's like, can we create, like, we had these webinars where they were thought leadership webinars. We brought in different kind of people operations leaders, but then we had our CEO do a kind of 3-minute blurb where he's doing a demo. It's like almost an ad within the webinar. And it's
It
like,
makes
oh,
sense.
people see the
Yeah.
product. And so you get them deeper down the funnel on that other side. And so, yeah, I'm a big fan of trying to make it completely independent from the brand, and think of it as a different funnel.
Cool. Yeah, very cool. Okay, I want to switch to a different topic, but related, obviously, which is the generational divide that's kind of happening in content marketing. And you've talked about this, but millennials really seem to associate the job of content marketing with SEO and like long form stuff, and Gen Z seems to associate it with video. And I think that's because they're so like platform native. What does the split actually look like? Like, what does it look like inside of Superpath? Like, are people naming this out loud? Is this just like, do you see this as your observation and like, everyone else hasn't like keyed in on this yet? And like, what does this all mean?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. And it's, so, we're a content marketing community. And I would say if you were going to nail down our kind of like key ICP in our community, think of the person that's been in their career probably 15 to 20 years. We have a lot of, to kind of like put it generationally, a lot of Gen X and older millennials who, began their career at the kind of, big blog moments of the mid 2000s. A lot of them have journalist backgrounds. We are just big writer community of people that built their whole careers on blogs. And that was for a long time synonymous with content marketing. Like when you say content marketing, you're thinking a B2B blog. It has been, and so that's what a lot of what Superpath is branded around. But what's like not said explicitly is that we are mainly a community of writers and SEO folks. That it was just kind of implied. And one of the things that has been so fascinating is I've jumped in here, and we have get lots of free trials every month. Some people that are familiar with us, some people that like Jimmy, our founder, built an awesome base for our brand and SEO foundation that's translated into AEO foundation. So like, if you're like, I want to join a content marketing community, you're going to find Superpath. So we have new people coming in. And what I've seen happening over and over is we have younger folks come in, younger millennials, but also like Gen Z folks that they come in, they see content marketing, they sign up, and they're like, oh, we're not talking about video that much. Like we're all kind of, and we can get into this, but like a lot of folks dabbling in video and podcasts and these other mediums, but not, they start with writing first. And we have these other people coming in that are like, when you say content marketing, I thought like we're talking TikTok videos. We're talking, they have a whole different understanding in mind. So I feel like at some point we're going to have to, I think it's a bigger question of how we adapt for a broader definition, but also kind of define what we are and what we aren't. Now, I think ultimately we become probably a broader B2B, still kind of holding true to our foundations of like who our kind of core people are, which is like, we'll start talking a lot more, and we already do, about video and about podcasts, but knowing that a lot of our people come from the background of writing first. And these things are things that they are developing skills in.
Is there like a conversation you're seeing inside Slack that's like, oh, here it is. Like here's sort of like this dissonance kind of coming together in real time?
Yeah. I mean, I've had people come in with the free trial and they were like, I was confused. Like these conversations tend to be like a lot more SEO and writing centric than I was ready for with the term content marketing. So that's definitely a thing that's happening. I mean, I think the other big thing is that, and I know this aligns with some of the research you all have done, is that everybody is becoming more generalist right now. So our content marketers are not able to sit in that lane of just writing blog posts anymore. And a lot of them are being pushed to do more across different mediums. So it's an active conversation right now where truly most people are dabbling in mediums that they have not dealt with in like the last 10 to 15 years of their career, trying to figure out video, trying to figure out podcasting, becoming more content engineers. All this trickles down to like there was this metric that you tied up to. This is back to what you were saying up front, Chris, but like there was this metric of content marketers drive traffic to the website. You can measure that success in visits to the website. You say, hey, we got 100,000 visits this month, and then we got 200 organic leads, and that translated into this, that translated into this, and that whole model has exploded. So now there's questions of like, am I a content engineer? Am I a storyteller? Am I helping out with product marketing? Am I doing this like multi-medium engineering thing across like repurposing video and matching that to what we're writing about? There's just like a lot of questions about what this role actually looks like in the future, that this is what we're talking about day to day in our community is what the content marketer of the future looks like.
It's interesting because like I've definitely seen this in my own work. I've seen it like I've talked about it with friends, this sort of like pull towards becoming a marketing generalist. And I have my own feelings about being a generalist, but I'm curious, like, do you both see that as an opportunity, or do you think like something gets lost in craft? This is more philosophical.
I'll start with like, I have always been a generalist. I really enjoy breadth over depth. There's a few different things happening. I think one is that a lot of executive teams are pushing marketers to just do more, which is somewhat not helpful, because you can't do good quality across you can't just have one person doing really, really quality. Like, yes, AI can help with being able to push out more content and like have more efficient workflows. But I think there's a thing that we hear a lot in our communities of like, oh my gosh, I've just been told that I need to be doing this and this and this and this, and I don't have any more resources for it. I just have to figure out how to do it. And I don't think that's very conducive to like good quality. I think that is different from the question of like, is generalism bad? Because I enjoy it. I think there's a lot of people that do really enjoy exploring all these different formats, but sometimes the circumstances with which they're being asked to do this. And this comes to, the way I could kind of like going backwards have looked at it with these teams is like a lot of times, you had these well-funded, I'm talking with a little bit with the like tech startup lens on it, but you had these like well-funded startups. They put a lot into their marketing teams. Like maybe you had a content marketer early and they were mainly writing, and then you're like, we want to get into video. And so they start dabbling in video a little bit, and then you raise another round of funding. And then you're like, okay, great. We're not going to have the content marketer do video anymore. Now we've got a content lead, and we're going to hire a video producer on our team. And so they're the specialists. They're going to kind of bring in their own tool set and do that at like a more professional level. And now we're getting kind of like, okay, we're not going to hire more people. We're not going to build out this big content team. We're just going to say, we need to do video. Hey, content marketer, figure out how to do video. You've got no more budget. You've got no more people to help with. Maybe you can get a contractor in the future if it starts to go well. But that's a tough challenge, I think, for a lot of people. And it's just like I think there's a lot of folks that are excited to do more things, different things, but the way that they're being asked to do it is kind of hard.
Yeah. And from my side, if being a generalist is bad, then Alex and I are both screwed. So I don't think it's bad.
I think it's a superpower. But
yeah. But I know you do. I'm just kidding. But you love it. But I think the thing I've been thinking about a lot is like, we're definitely seeing exactly what you're talking about, Alex, which is like people being asked to do things that were normally outside of their domain.
Yeah.
And I'm also seeing that like when they have the right tools, they can do it. And in fact, like in some cases, like very surprising things are happening where someone's doing something outside of the domain. It's tremendously different, more interesting than could have been done in the first place. And so I think the hard part that I see is like, well, when anyone can write code, anyone can make a video, anyone can make a landing page, anyone can make a design, well, who gets to decide what's going out? Who is the creative director? What is the creative director? How does the editorial part of the process work?
Mhm.
And that's something that I think that people are not ready for at all. It's so different because in specialization world, the team structure itself slows down a bunch of things. It has all these like gated points where people check in and stuff like that. But when you don't need that, you can get this incredible speed, but you can also get incredible chaos.
Yeah.
And so it feels like a lot of new stuff we're going to have to learn and figure out. And also, I think like for the individual, I think I of course understand that it is like scary for so many things to change. But I also think a lot of cases, like I'll give you one example. This is not about content specifically, but one thing we've seen where there are people who are like mid-level software engineers who were making great progress in their career, and then suddenly now they can use AI to go much faster. But partly what they're doing is solving problems they couldn't solve before. So they're having a much easier time having their vision come to life. And I'm seeing these amazing visions come out of people who could never have expressed it before, or would have had trouble like even convincing other people because it felt kind of like out of the norm of how we work. But because everything's up in the air, we're seeing these amazing things happen. And it makes me think so much about like the fundamentals, which is like, do you have a vision for what you want to build? Do you know who the customer is? Do you understand their problems really deeply? Can you handle the challenges that I think a lot of us in content marketing land got used to, which is like, you put stuff out there and not everything works. And so how do you learn quickly from that and stay humble? So it's a lot changing at once. I don't think we'll end up with everyone just having, maybe everyone has one job title, but that seems unlikely to me, where I think we're still going to have specialization, but everyone will be able to do everything.
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't know if you've had conversations about the T-shaped marketer, the concept, that's Emily Kramer, like that. We talk a lot about that. I mean, that is what it is, where you've got somebody that's got a lot of depth in one piece and they're building out the breadth. And I mean, to your point, I think that it provides a lot of opportunities for people. We have a good number of folks in our community that were longtime content marketers that really embraced the breadth that they needed to bring on and are now heads of marketing for their teams. They're on a totally different trajectory because they were able to adapt quickly and figure out how to do some of the other things and do this kind of whole orchestration and really, elevated themselves because of that, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And something I've noticed just at Wistia is like there's real investment in empowering people to explore. And I don't know that every company, like sort of what you're talking about before, Alex, like there's the mandate to do more, but not the sort of foundation of like, I'm going to give you the infrastructure to explore. And so it's been cool to see from Wistia's POV, like how this ladders up. But I guess I'm wondering, like, I don't know, both of you again, like Chris, if you were talking to another CEO who was like, I want my teams to do more, like what would you tell them to say? And Alex too, like if you were talking to a CEO of like another brand and they were like, I want my teams to make more content, like what conditions do they have to have in place to make that happen?
I mean, I think it depends on where they are. If they're literally are not doing any of this stuff yet, I would say you have to give people budget to explore. You have to give them time. You have to literally say, I expect that we will slow down somewhat, but on the other side, we will hopefully learn so much more that we will speed up. But I think without that permission, people don't take the extra time to explore necessarily during the day. I do think though, as you're asking that question, I feel like this is where you get the community helping you, right? Where you're in there chatting with other people and learning from them. But yeah, what's your take, Alex?
I think one of the questions that is not being asked enough in these conversations is like, what is the metric that we're most focused on? And like giving the content person the ability to be like, here is your metric, go chase it in whatever way as possible. I think a lot more of these conversations are coming, hey, we had this content team of 5 people. Now we've got 2 people, but you have AI now. So go do everything that your 5-person team was doing with 2 people. And I don't think that always creates the best outcomes because it doesn't ask the question enough of like, hey, content is changing, this whole function's changing, what should we be doing and what should we let go? Like what were some of the actions that we were doing? Maybe, the whole thing about churning out 20 blog posts a month. Like, should you still be doing that? It shouldn't just be like, hey, you have AI now, just keep on doing this thing. And so I think when I think about how to create this dynamic that really works for the content person, it's giving them a very specific business outcome to chase. And too often it's just like, just push out a lot of content. And it's like, well, what are we like? Obviously, website traffic is not it anymore. You don't have this kind of clear funnel. So what is the metric that we're trying to achieve with all this content, and being just really clear about that?
So you're talking about the funnel. The funnel is much more murky, much harder to see. The old playbooks are not working. Then like you're just talking about the metrics that people should have when they're optimizing. How do you think about the channels at the top? Like, where do you think that it should be? Do you think you should go to a content marketer and say, hey, what I want from you is like average view time you can get on YouTube, or what I want for you is like organic views on TikTok per month, or like LinkedIn comments? Like, how do you think people should be thinking about this by channel?
I think it really depends on the context right now of the company. And I think even taking one more step back with like, what is the role of a content marketer right now? I think it comes down to like, there's a few different buckets that we have emerging. And one is like, maybe a content marketer is like, some folks are becoming more internal services, and they are these like storytellers for the company, and they're helping execs tell their story on LinkedIn, and they're helping out with product marketing now, and they're helping just tell stories across the company. And that's their goal. And it's, an internal service. I think there's another set of folks that are more audience builders now. And so that's where I'd say like, there's a big movement right now towards newsletters and being a little bit, newsletters obviously are having a moment right now, but there's a big question that actually Jimmy put out probably 6 months ago that I think has kind of continued to resonate in our conversations, which is like, if you were starting from scratch, would you start a blog, or would you just have a newsletter on Beehive or Substack or whatever your newsletter provider is? I think that's a very interesting question. And in there, you can maybe track, what you're building up an audience, and that's an audience that you want to tap into eventually. There's a lot going on LinkedIn right now, and I think everybody's still very confused about what to be optimizing for there. So, I think there are different directions that our content marketers are going, but the ones that are more audience building, I'd say like, if the question is what channels are we seeing people build in the most, like newsletters, video, LinkedIn are kind of like our three, like these are the channels everybody's trying to grow in the most. And yeah.
I think like Chris, you've definitely seen LinkedIn explode over the last few years. The audience building is interesting because like that's what I'm trying to do with this podcast, right? Is like build an audience. And it's so hard because there's still, even within that world, so many different channels, right? There's YouTube, there's the RSS feed, there's the social channels. Some people just watch a podcast by clips. Like they don't want the whole thing. They just want the clips. So I'm just trying to like, I think I'm just like thinking in real time about like, even when you sort of say, okay, I'm the audience builder, like even within that, it's hard to sort of like prioritize.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Podcast is a big one, right? And I've heard content marketers say different things about what the goals of their podcast are. Like some people are like, we're never going to get a lot of subscribers. The goal is to like connect with our customers, to create a bunch of short clips that we can put on social. And so the goal is actually social with the podcast. Other people are looking to build an audience. I'm thinking about that with our own podcast at Superpath. It's like, I'm like, okay, what, if I were to invest more in the podcast We've got a solid following right now, but what would we actually get out of investing more into it and growing that subscriber base? Math is a little bit different for us because we have partners and run ads, so we can justify that a little bit more. But if you're a B2B brand, like what's the difference in having 500 subscribers versus 1,000 versus like, hey, if you have a really viral LinkedIn post, it can get to 50,000 people. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I think it's almost like because it was simpler. It used to be simpler. You be able to, post stuff on the blog, put on your site. Okay, it works. And I think that I feel like that is like such the challenge right now is like even the mediums look the same. It's like, oh, it's written, so it should. You're a great writer. Yeah, okay. So, well, like there's like LinkedIn newsletters, and that people subscribe to that really easily, so you can grow your list quickly. But you can't pull the emails up very easily. Oh, you could put a separate thing. Okay, that's going to grow more slowly. But there's like an ecosystem on this one. There's a different ecosystem on this one. You can like do paid promotion. It's like it's almost like infinite options suddenly.
Yeah. The other thing is just the channels are changing so much so quickly that you don't. I think one of the things that folks in our community are struggling with a lot right now is they're used to being able to like, here's our long-term strategy. If we do this thing for 18 months, here's what you can expect. I feel very confident in, like, I'm coming into a new company. I feel very confident saying, if you give me these resources, here's what you can expect in 18 months. And that's not the case anymore. I think LinkedIn's a perfect example. So I had my own LinkedIn strategy for a while, about 3 or 4 years ago, and built up my following, like following being a metric. I've got like 33,000 people that follow me on LinkedIn. That's useless now. Like I post and it does not reach those people because the LinkedIn algorithm changed. And I just think back to, that time 2 to 3 years ago when a lot of people are starting to think about LinkedIn for the first time and being like, follower count's it. And then it's like, nope, it's algorithmic now. Like your follower count does not matter at all, right? So I think it's those sorts of things that are making it really difficult to build a very cohesive long-term strategy right now.
Yeah, it's funny though, because I think everything you're describing, anyone who's been in the content game has experienced.
Yeah.
And it's stressful, but then also you start to get more comfortable, I think, with this of like, all right, the game is changing.
Yeah.
What's being talked about right now and what matters in these different like subcultures, like you start to figure it out. And then the thing that's really been on my mind, I just wrote a post about this on LinkedIn the other day because it hit me when I was looking at our own website is like the job of the website's changing. And actually the job of the website is like, you need to think of it like especially the homepage, like a social post now. Mm-hmm. Which is like, what is the hook? Like, what's the open loop you're going to create at the top of the page that makes you want to keep reading and then go to the next page, the next page. And even comms inside of companies is changing, I think. And this is especially if you're remote. It's like, you're not guaranteed the attention. Like, you used to like come into this hall and watch us present. And yes, you look tired. Yes, I think you're on your phone, but like you're hearing it versus like, okay, now I'm going to give you a message. You're remote. Are you in your kitchen? Are you at a cafe? Like I stopped at a rest stop the other day when we were driving back from New York and there was someone on a Zoom call in the rest stop. I was like, this is our world now. So it's like getting someone's attention even internally is harder. And I think the skill set that's getting really good at this, the people who have gotten comfortable being really good on social, I think it's the content marketers.
Yeah. I think there's a ton of opportunities for content marketers. With what we were just saying there too, that reminded me of, all of our writers that are like, all of a sudden, these are folks that have done a lot of long form content and people do not, with AI slop out there, people are not like paying attention or like zoning in as much on like written word. And we've had a lot of conversations about the fact, like I've said this myself, is like, I go in, like you give me a piece of content that's written and I come in very skeptical of like, did somebody spend the actual time to think about how they're communicating this, or did they feed in quick prompt to AI and this is not actually their words, right? So I think there's on one side, if you're pushing content, you have, how are people consuming this? Are they paying deep attention to it? But then if you're a consumer, you're also questioning, hey, the person that's putting out this content to me that's asking for my time to consume it, were they being really critical and thoughtful about how they're communicating as well?
The intention and the effort.
Yeah.
Like, can you prove the effort in some way? Like where I feel like that's at least on all of these sides. Like if you can prove the effort, then people will pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think, look, this is like maybe probably too philosophical, but like I think about this like in the arc of all of human history. It's like we like the pyramids. Like, why do we like them? It's like, well, how the hell did they do that? Who decides to do this? Build this thing over hundreds of years, and like we're confused by how it was built, and like just really, it's like the sheer human effort and time and capital that went into this is like so large and so hard to fathom that it's like I have to see it with my own eyes. Like it makes you want to do that, and I feel like that's always been how we are as humans. Is like if a lot of other humans care about something, spending their time on it, then we value it. And that is the challenge with all this AI content is like, if you sniff that, the honest caveat was what I just kept saying recently. I was like, here's my honest caveat from like an agent. It's like, okay, like no human being has ever said this.
My honest caveat? That's what they say?
Yeah, that's like one of the things I see a lot. Where it's like, here's all this data, but like, let me tell you my take on like why maybe this might not be right.
That's such a weird phrase.
That's an agentic phrase.
Dang, that's an agentic tell. Okay. Well, here's my honest caveat. No, that is a weird,
One of the funny things, I don't know if y'all have experienced it, but we talk about this all the time in our Slack, and I found myself doing this, is like anytime you hear some of these key phrases, like it's not this, it's this, that is obviously an AI tell, but like I'll be like listening to an audiobook from 10 years ago and I'll hear it and I'll be like, no, it's not AI. This is just.
Well, okay. So I actually take umbrage with this one because I actually think that framework, it's not this, it's this, is actually so clear and compelling. Like,
that's part of the problem is like a bunch of AI writing that's like really good AI writing. It like stops you in your tracks.
Yeah.
And like, not all human writers did that. And that's what's so funny is now it's like, it's everywhere. It's like, oh shit, this thing that used to be like an exception has become the rule.
Like an M dash.
Yeah.
Like an M dash.
Yeah.
If you had to tell a content marketer where to put their energy for like the next 2 years, where would you tell them to put it?
Experimentation, I think right now. It's something that we see across. So we have in-house people and we have freelancers and we have agency folks. And I think the people that are really, really thriving right now are those that are able to create space for experimentation. I mean, it's like what we were just talking about before, but space for experimentation, trying new stuff out, getting creative, not just following the random piece of advice that you're like, oh, my friend's doing this, therefore this, but like being able to really think critically and test out new channels, new mediums, new ways of doing things. I don't know. That's the thing I do. I think I just put out that it's been really interesting to see with the freelancers specifically is because those are some of the people that can create the most time for themselves. And you see people that have been freelancers for 15 years. They had the same packages for 12 years and then they just changed it overnight. Now they're selling something completely new because they're able to like lean into what's changing very quickly, develop expertise in that quickly, and then go resell it to these in-house teams that don't have the capacity to experiment and understand stuff that fast because they're dealing with all the other stuff that happens when you're on an in-house team.
The thing I keep thinking is you have this community that is, and you made this bet like that, like, hey, this is what people are going to want. And like everything we're talking about is all this uncertainty. And then the references you make are like from that private community. And that's pretty cool because I feel like it seems like you made a good bet here.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. To be honest, I'm very bullish on communities and I believe in that. I think the biggest existential thing I think about is something we talked about here too, is like, what happens if I wake up a year from now and content marketers, like this kind of cohesive identity that all these people have, like they're actually disparate now. And so we have people that have gone deeper into editorial, some people that are content engineers, some people that are heads of marketing, some people, and all of a sudden there's not that identity and this community is built around this identity. So I'm bullish on where we're headed, but that is the one risk that I think about is like like if content marketing does not have the meaning it had in the past, and if people are evolving the roles, how do we keep that? Because I think that's a key part of what we do is like that identity piece and be like, these are people like me.
That makes total sense. I do think that like the kind of like optimist in me when talking about, you know, what I think is going to end up happening, which is like, hey, the people who actually know how to tell great stories, the people who know how to actually hook somebody, like they're going to be asked to do stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Which the you know, generalist is like the bad part of this. But there's like a core in who that person is and spending your career on this that is not going to change even if people's titles change. Like
100%.
So it's like it's the articulation of almost like a value structure, I think, of like, hey, we have the same values. Like we believe in telling great stories. We believe in moving people with words and videos, and like that there is like value in audience and entertainment and education. And that to me seems like that's going to only actually become more important. So if you can figure out how to just like coalesce around that, I think you're going to be great.
I mean, the skill set, I 100% agree with you. The being able to tell stories, I think is just going to become more and more valuable. And I think in the world of AI slop and a lot of bad storytelling and content, the good storytellers are going to stand out. It's just how do you mold your career to meet the future and in the way that looks very different from the past.
Totally. Well, look, we look forward to finding out how it goes.
1 year from today.
Thanks for having me on. This has been fun.
Thanks, Alex.